Morocco are in the semi-final of the World Cup. They're the first African country to ever do that. It's amazing. They're really good. But are they good enough to win the entire World Cup? I say yes. Or maybe anyway. I'm going to tell you how they play and why I think they're so good and what they do so well. Because Morocco is not a team you expected to be this far into the tournament, are they? Unless you're very smart. Now, what Morocco do very well is play without the ball. So the ball is quite important in football. You're supposed to get the ball into the goal. That's the main thing you're supposed to do in the game, right? So what you need to do is that. What Morocco do is that very efficiently, but by making sure that the opposition never gets a chance to do it themselves. So how do Morocco play? How do they do it? Well, they've got some good players individually. Mazraoui and Hakimi are two of the best fullbacks in the entire tournament. They get really high and wide to support the attacks. Then you've got Amrabat, this midfield general, ball-winning midfielder. In the middle of the pitch here, he breaks everything up and gets the ball away. That's what he does. And you've got Amla and Unahi, very competent midfielders. Seis and Agard have been excellent at centre-back. Then you've got wingers like Boufal, he's played for Southampton. They can play wide and come inside the pitch to hurt teams in the final third. Ziyech has been brilliant in this tournament as well. Then Nesri is just a striker who can leap very high and score goals with his head or his legs. Very important. The goalkeeper is also good. So what you get is a team that plays in a 4-3-3 in attack. This is with the three you see like this, with overlapping fullbacks. In defence, where they're best, it's a 4-1-4-1. So a line of four across the defence, with Amrabat anchoring in the middle, between the lines, so another line of four as the wingers come back in to form that. And Nesri's job is to lead the ball where Morocco want. They're in charge without the ball. That's what they do. Only Costa Rica have had the ball less than Morocco in this tournament. They have a 31.6% of average possession. This kind of goes to show you they don't need the ball to win. This is what they do because they're best here. So when teams want to build up, they'll obviously push their wide players forward, try and stretch the pitch, put a striker through the middle. But what they never get is a chance to have their winger 1v1 with a fullback, because Morocco always have players back to help out. If Hakimi has, well, a player to deal with on this right-hand side, what you'll get is Ziyech will come back to join in. Very tactically disciplined, both wingers, really, really good defensively. They do all the things that are expected of them. So these guys will double up here. Then you might get the opposition fullback will join in to try and form a two. But what you get is Agard will come across. Amrabat will join in as well, it's behind him, and Unahi will come across as well. So it's a total overload. There's no way for the opposition to really get a ball into the box, and if they do, there's so many players back, they head it away. So what happens with opposition teams is they get to this area, they're suddenly locked in 1v1 with a great fullback, with a winger supporting, with another player in here to drop to make sure that doesn't really happen. Amrabat's waiting to stop anyone trying to get in behind as well. So the ball ends up getting horseshoed around, so they go back and forward and back and forward, and then they just can't get the ball into the box. There's no space between lines to get the ball through them, so teams can't score. They just can't score. In fact, since the manager's taken charge of Morocco, they conceded one goal, and that goal was an own goal. They're really, really good at stopping chances into the box. They're not lucky, this is all by design. So that's one thing they do, right, with this back four and the midfield lines here, blocking teams so they can't get forward. But another thing they do, it's very clever, is they stop the team from being able to play the way they want in their own build-up phase. So if you have a team building from the back, as Spain did, so they'd have two centre-backs, a right centre-back and left centre-back, and Sergio Busquets is the pivot player. So the pivot player is the one they want to put everything through because he can see where the next pass should go to get them into the next phase of play. But Nesri, in the Spain game, for example, was always blocking the pass into him. So if the ball was right side, they wouldn't be able to pass into Busquets because Nesri was always screening him, making sure the ball couldn't go to that way. Same on the left side, always screening. He's not tight to a defender, he's not tight to Busquets, he's just stopping the pass go in there. So the ball has to go wide, and then you get with the situation where you're 1v2, v3, v4, so they can't get anything. That's how they do it. It's really, really, really clever. They don't press high, they just lead the team the way they want to, and then when the ball turns over, that's when they break. And then you've got Ziyech goes forward, Hakimi goes forward, Mazraoui, Boufal, and then Nesri. And these are your forwards. They don't send too many players forward because they don't want to ever leave you a chance to counter-attack them, because that's how they would lose a game. They don't want to concede. So defensively, obviously they're fantastic, really, really solid. That's what you want. But how do they score goals? How are they getting through all these amazing teams? How are they beating them all? Well, we can see how they play with passing maps. It kind of shows us mostly what we're talking about here. So if I go and look at how Morocco build, here we go. This is Morocco against Portugal. This is how they played the game. Really deep and defensive. Players getting touches mostly in their own half. You see they focus mostly on the wide areas, the right side, which makes sense because you've got Hakimi and Ziyech. But look how close together all these guys are. El Yamek came in because Agard was injured for that game. So this is what you see. Really deep, They don't have much of the ball. I would say 30%, 31% average possession, and it's in every game. Here's them against Canada, a weaker opponent, and then still they're very deep. Bit more space between them now, more counter-attacking when they can, but again, very flat, very deep. That's what you see. Against Spain, who had about 190% possession, again, really deep. Nothing that Spain can really do because they're building out really slowly, keeping it nice and tight. They're not in the opposition half. And for context, for how this should look if you're trying to like be an attacking team, this is how Morocco look in this game. This is how Spain look. Look at the difference. The line is so high, it's basically in Morocco's half. Everyone's in Morocco's half, but they're mostly blocked at this midfield point because this is where the block comes in. So they can't get past it. Just pass, 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 pass. All totally control. There you go. That's Morocco. Nice and deep. Spain, completely different. That's what you see. And when they get the ball, another thing they do is they switch play. So they switch play so that when it turns over, they switch to someone who's spare on the far side, then that player carries it up the pitch, and then Morocco can move up. So what you'll get, obviously, like we say, the wingers will go wider, Boufal and Ziyech. So it might be that they start on this side of the pitch with Ziyech or Hakimi, who will switch the play to the person who's free on the wide left, maybe Mezraoui, and then the players will start to move up the pitch. So Boufal will go from out to in as Mezraoui gets up to top here. He's also injured for the semi-final. That's a big loss for Morocco. So then what you get is the players move forward. Amala, Unahi, Amrabat always anchoring, making sure they're not in trouble. Hakimi will go forward. Once, say Ziyech gets the ball as well, it's a trigger. So if Ziyech gets the ball, Hakimi starts to go up because he knows that he can go forward when Ziyech drops into these midfield positions, so then he can switch the play. That's what they do a lot. So Ziyech, Nesri, Boufal. So Gerd and Saiss, the two centre-backs, they don't push up. So what a lot of teams will do is when they're in the attacking phase, they'll push everyone into their own half. That's what Spain did. You see, you push everyone up and you squish the pitch like this. But of course, that leaves a lot of space in behind for a counter-attack. So the ball turns over, teams can get in that space in behind. Morocco don't do that. Even when they're attacking, they leave players deeper. You'll notice this if you watch them. They've always got players slightly deeper so that if there was a turnover, they have to run at these players and then they can be shown a certain way. So they say the ball turns over, this player wants to start going forward in a straight line. He can't because a girl will be in his way, so he wants to go out wide. He'll be pushed out wide. Then they go out wide. Everyone else can get back at the time they've done this. And by the time they get to the ball in the wide area, once again, you've got players back to stop them from being able to play. They're absolutely brilliant at defending. That's what they do. Now the other thing, right? They are very good defensively, and it makes sense when they go forward tactically what they do and how the players move around. But they are genuinely really good. It's a good team unit. Like, it's been built well. It's superbly well coached. And if you look at the goal they scored against Portugal, this for me is one of the goals of the tournament, if not the best one that's been scored. It's not individual magic. It's an entire team goal. Only Hakimi, one of the midfielders, and the left-sided centre-back don't touch the ball in this move from back to front. And this is meant to be a very defensive underdog team. But look at this, right? Centre-back goes to goalkeeper. Goalkeeper fires it into Amrabat, the defensive midfielder, who drops in between the lines to be able to receive the ball. He's becoming a pivot player here, even though he's a defensive ball-winning midfielder. He gets the ball, then he turns and fires a brilliant pass between the lines. That's a line-breaking pass from deep, past this first line of press from Portugal. He goes all the way in to one of the midfielders who's a bit deeper here. Now, what you see is while the centre-back split, Hakimi, the right fullback, starts to push up. You can do that because Ziyech is pulled out from right wing into the midfield position. So that's what you want him to do. He does that. So then you've got Ziyech as the right winger in midfield. You've got a left fullback, right fullback, starting to creep up the pitch. As this ball just takes out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Portugal players. One pass. It's brilliant. Then that player drops back in because he can't really turn. There's no one up to really support him. He turns around, comes back in. Ziyech is still here. The ball comes into Ziyech. Then that thing we're talking about, the switch of play. So Ziyech takes it, turns onto his left, and then you've got a player spare on the left, So they fire the ball out to the left. That's the switch of play that they always make. They've gone from defense into the attacking phase really quickly. It's about 3 passes, clever play, great execution of the passes. Then you've got the fullback joining in to swap with the winger Boufal on the left. So the fullback's pushed up, Boufal's come inside. What you've got now is a Nesri is the striker. One of the midfielders is pushed up. So they have 2 midfielders, number 8 here, and I think it's number 15, right? So the 15's pushed up to be level with the striker. So they've got 2 forwards pushing that defensive line back. So there's room in the middle for these midfielders to play. Players between lines, that's what you want. Morocco keep going. They bring the ball through from the midfield. So now rather than a line-breaking pass, this is a line-breaking run, carries the ball past another 2 Portugal players, And again, they're putting them into real trouble really quickly. So they come forward, that's them changing the phase of play. The fullback is now starting to move. Like, this is going to be a trouble because he's spare on this left-hand side, nice and wide. Ball comes out to this side here. Then what you get is the fullback and the winger are in dialogue with each other. They're helping out so they can try and either get the ball into the box from a wide position, or they can come inside the pitch and do something from inside here. But what happens is the ball goes out wide, the fullback crosses in, and then you've got a midfielder at the near post. You've got En-Nesyri, the striker, at the far post. Hakimi's between the lines. Ziyech between the lines. Another midfielder between the lines. Look at this. Portugal can't get close to them. They can't squish it quick enough because they're all playing between. These guys are pushing them back. Then the ball comes in, and that is one of the best headers you'll see in the World Cup. Leaps about 20 metres into the air, beats the goalkeeper, puts the ball in the back of the net, and that is Morocco. Little Morocco, the one you didn't expect to be there in the semi-finals of the World Cup to play France. Now, France are very good, but Morocco are very good too. And the thing is that France will send players forward, Morocco won't let them play, and if they can stop Mbappe from getting through them with that really impressive defending style and blocking the play into their midfielders, there's no reason why they can't do exactly the same thing against France as they did against Portugal, as they did against Spain. It's a really good team, they're not there on luck, this is all merit. I really like them, and that's why I think Morocco are genuinely good enough to win the entire World Cup. And if you enjoy that analysis, do please subscribe to our channel, that would be wonderful. Enjoy the semi-finals!
If you liked today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you did like it, you might be interested in How to Watch Football, Tifo's illustrated book. It's 52 rules for understanding the beautiful game on and off the pitch, and it is the perfect holiday gift. How to Watch Football is out now in stores and online. See the link in the description to find out more, and thank you for watching today's video.